So what is Nitish Kumar's future? Is he really the face of the opposition in 2024? Nalin Verma is author and journalist who's written a biography of Lalu Prasad. Rahul Verma is fellow at Center for Policy Research and tracks political trends closely. Rahul Srivastava, our National Affairs Editor, is joining us. And Javed Ansari, senior journalist, is someone who's known Nitish Kumar in particular for several years. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let's come to each of you on that big question. Rahul Verma, to you first. Do you see what Nitish Kumar has done today simply about short-term survival, or does he have a long-term agenda of emerging as some kind of a magnet for anti-Modi forces?
Rajdeep, it will take some time to figure out whether Nitish has a long-term agenda in mind or not. Today, what he has done, basically shown his survival instincts. The longevity of JDU-BJP alliance since 2020 was always in a question, given that the BJP had emerged as a larger player than Nitish Kumar, and Nitish Kumar since then has been feeling that BJP has been making moves right from fielding Chirag Paswan against him and then trying to instigate RCP Singh, who is JDU leader, to carve out his own space and niche, a Kurmi leader, that too. So Nitish Kumar has been feeling the heat, and in some ways, the parting of ways was inevitable. It has come now. Whether he can become an opposition magnet will depend on what cards he's going to play from now. With the caste census issue, it remains a burning issue in Bihar and perhaps across North India. Nitish Kumar, in comparison to what he was in 2010 or 15, has now a diminished credibility. So to become opposition magnet, he not only has to survive as the chief minister, but also has to create a narrative around him where other leaders think that they can come with Nitish Kumar on the same platform.
Interesting that Nitish Kumar, in a sense, is perhaps a diminished leader, and that's one of my takes that you're seeing on the screen compared to 2010 or 15. Javed Ansari, do you agree with that? That the repeated U-turns that Nitish Kumar has made means that if he was to even emerge as a national lead alternative, it appears much more difficult now than it was ever before. I'll put up all those takeaways in a moment on the screen. Go ahead, Javed.
Yes, one of the big question marks against Nitish Kumar is the reliability factor. There are those in the opposition who will say, I mean, he was with the BJP when we were facing the wrath of the ED, when our workers were being beaten up, when our leaders were being hounded, where was Mr. Nitish Kumar? But he also has 2.5 years to go for the next general elections. I agree with Rahul when he says this step is an existential one. He's tried to survive, and now having taken this step, this opens up possibilities. But before that happens, there are a lot of things. For one, Nitish Kumar has to convince the opposition and the voters that this time his parting of woes is a permanent divorce and not a temporary separation as in the past.
You know, the question, Rahul Srivastava, is who is going to trust someone who has made all these, gymnastics in the last 20 years? Can Nitish Kumar really, therefore, emerge as a magnet, or is it, as I keep repeating, purely about his immediate political survival because he knew that the BJP was encroaching on his turf?
See, Rajdeep, when we question Nitish Kumar for switching loyalties and ideologies and alliance partners, we also should not forget the fact that why should Lalu Yadav accept him back? Because he went with despite him having gone with the BJP. Mulayam Singh Yadav in Uttar Pradesh and Akhilesh Yadav have never done that. They have not gone
but
to
Lalu
the BJP.
Also has no options.
Lalu has also not gone.
Options.
So why is he accepting somebody like Nitish Kumar? Nitish Kumar is a political compulsion for Lalu Yadav as well as the BJP in Bihar. The BJP has gone back to the drawing board. Rajdeep, I think what is happening here, that Nitish Kumar, as I said yesterday also, plays for the next game. Now, if he had played this game closer to the Lok Sabha elections, people would have said that he's just drama kar raha hai, and he is doing it now only because he has got aspirations. He has done it, as Javed said very rightly, 2.5 years from the Lok Sabha elections. Now, what does it mean, Rajdeep? See, he had sent messages in 2017 also to Prashant Kishore that I want to break up this alliance, I want to come back. That was some 6 months after he had joined hands with the BJP. Now, why does he do that? He does it primarily because he does not have a platform of his own to launch himself as a candidate. Now, Lalu Prasad Yadav and Bihar are a good enough platform that will launch him. The old Janata Party sentiment and nostalgia and all those elements can unite certain forces. The second element is what is in it for Lalu Yadav. If Nitish Kumar catapults himself or presents himself as a prime ministerial option, the seat gets vacated for Tejashwi Yadav. Lalu wants to get his son entrenched fully in Bihar politics.